We'll call the meeting of a Board of Supervisors for Monday, July 21, 2025 into order and have, well, roll call. Everybody just hit their button, and what do we have? Bill just walked in, so.
28 present and Wenzel is absent.
Yeah, 28 present, and Stacy Wenzel is on her way. She texted me and said she'll be about 5 minutes late. Her job gets in the way, you know. So, okay, let's see, public notification.
Wendy Coleman, my executive assistant, has complied with Wisconsin open meeting requirements. Meeting agendas have been posted on electronic meeting notice boards located on the first and second floor of the Government Center and on the first floor of the Justice Center. A hard copy of the meeting agenda is available in the county clerk's office, and she's verified the proper posting of this meeting. Barron County Board of Supervisors scheduled for July 21st, 2025 at 5 p.m. and this agenda was posted on the 15th, signed by Wendy Coleman.
Okay. Is Father Adam Lasky in the audience here today? He's a pastor at St. Joe's. I know he was kind of scheduled to do the invocation. Since he's not here, I guess you're gonna get stuck with my short version, okay? God, would you grant us your blessings on today's meeting? Like I say in the past, we've been working together really well. And there's a lot of people in Barron County that are relying on us to make the right decisions because the ones we make affect them. So I guess give us all the wisdom you can tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, special matters. Do you have, I think Supervisor Hanson would like to tell us something.
Fortunately or unfortunately, this is going to be my last county board meeting. My family has said that I got to stay out of the hospital, and maybe if I quit doing extracurricular activities, I can stay out of the hospital. My wife has some medical issues, so I'm getting pretty good at laundry, and I'm not much of a cook yet, so I'm not going to invite the whole board over for dinner. But it's been fun, and I'll keep an eye on you guys.
How many years, Bud?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Probably Jess knows how many years.
Off the top of my head.
We're gonna miss you, Bon. You've done a hell of a job for us, and he's our second vice chair, so. So he'll be with us till the end of this meeting, and then our clerk will post that position, and hopefully we'll have some people to interview, and then at the next August meeting, we'll be discussing a second vice chair and a few other things, how we handle that, but we'll do that next time. He's in Rice Lake. What district are you, Bud? District 21. Okay. Yep. Okay. Okay, Jeff?
Okay, I have a couple things to announce. First one pertains to the waste energy plant. I'll read part of an email from Brent. Good morning, solid waste team. I'm emailing to notify you that we will be shutting the facility down this Monday, which is today, to install the new acid gas removal system. The facility will be down until August 4th at the latest if everything goes as planned. The next solid waste board meeting will be August 5th at 10 a.m. at the waste energy plant. So they've been planning this. They shut down one of the boilers a week ago and did the cleaning in preparation for the acid gas removal system to start today. Brett talked to Brent this morning, so everything's on target for having that up and going on August 4th. Second matter is I want to publicly thank Jody for her fastidious and work in relation to the COVID money that we received a few years ago. On July 18th, I received this response from the Department of the Treasury, and it simply says, I will just not read the whole thing. I'll just read the first 3 paragraphs we are writing regarding Barron County, and then it gives all the details of the Social Security Acts. Based on our review, Barron County, Wisconsin has successfully completed the following. Number 1, submitted a fully compliant final report, including certification of the accuracy and the completion of the final report. As a result of the above actions, Treasury has officially completed all actions pertaining to the closeout of Barron County, Wisconsin's LACTIF funds, which is COVID funds. So Jody, thank you. Just proves how good work you do, and this is quite a letter. I know other places are getting audited and they're finding findings, but not here at Barron County. So those are the two things. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Way to go, Jody. Okay, item number 5, the agenda, and I'd like to make one alteration on, let's see, be the resolution on number 10. What we need to do is just, it says resolution, expansion of Staples Lake projection, and then I want to add 2 words, to protection. I wrote the right thing down wrong. So it's Lake Projection to Protection and Rehabilitation District. So we're just adding those 2 words, so when it comes to number 10, when you're making a motion to pass that, it will include those 2 words. So now I need then a motion to do that. Motion by Supervisor Heller, second by Supervisor Cook. Any concerns with the minutes other than that item I had? Seeing none, let's vote. That passed by a majority of 28 yes and 1 absent at this point in time. Okay, item number 6, approve the minutes of the June 16th, 2025 meeting. Motion by Supervisor Langman, seconded by Supervisor Bob Anderson. Any problems with the minutes or concerns? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passed 27 yes, 1 abstention, and 1 absent. So, okay, who was abstaining? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Bun. All right, item number 7, public comment. I guess we have our Supervisor Rogers would like to talk to us.
Can I do that from here, or are you going to make me go over
No,
there?
you can do it right there.
Very good. Bob Rogers, 2564 8 1/4 Avenue in Chautauqua. This is a shameless plug for the Red Barn Theater. I'm directing a show coming up in August. It's called Dad's Season Tickets. It's about a father who has 3 daughters, and he has to decide who he is going to leave his Packer season tickets to. It's a musical. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be great. It runs from August 20th through the 30th. The Red Barn Theater has been around now for well over 60 years. If you haven't been there yet, shame on you. It's time for you to get out and enjoy yourself at the theater some evening. Reservations, with any luck at all, this is going to be a sellout. 234-8301 is the number to call, and I hope to see you at the Red Barn Theater. Pardon me? Not for people who are stepping off the board.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, item number 8, UW ECBC Energy Audit Presentation by Upper 90. And guys, you're welcome to introduce yourselves, and you got to hit that little button in the middle here where it says push, and then the green light comes on.
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you all for having us tonight. I see some familiar faces from the property committee that we came to 2 weeks ago, but just for a little introduction, my name is Patrick, and I'm with Upper 90, and I'm joined by my colleague and the owner of Upper 90, Mario Melanzi. We're going to talk through the energy audit that we performed at the Eau Claire Barron County campus. If you wouldn't mind going just to the next slide real quick. Just going to make this really brief because for the sake of time, I want to respect your time. So the university and the county went in a joint effort to apply for a grant through the OEI, which is the Office of Energy and Innovation. And it was specifically the Rural Energy Startup Program grant. And through that, they applied for $75,000 to conduct this study and then put that out for an RFP where my company and Upper 90 had joined with Mario. we applied to be the contractor for that and were awarded that. I believe the county paid 26,000 out of the 75 with the remaining 49 left over. And it's kind of brought us, there were a few delays along the way due to some funding issues from the OEI and some delays in those things, but we got through it and we are all done and ready to present some of the findings from this study. If you could go to the next slide. This is our general process here where we kind of go through a data collection process, our recommendations, owner input, and then approval for bidding. I'm going to hand it off over to Mario here, and he's going to walk through some of the recommendations with you guys, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Again, my name is Mario Melanzi with Upper 90. I agree with Patrick just for the essence of being brief, but we certainly would take, any and all questions as the discussion would pertain. So ask you just to go to the next slide there. I wanted to kind of start with some general categories of our recommendations. Our auditors found a number of opportunities at the campus, and we've broken them down into these 4 categories. Sounds like you have some deliverables, some documentation that was provided in your packets. We've got a separate, for lack of a better term, spreadsheet for each one of those categories. Go ahead, next slide. But before I get started, I wanted to just, and I mentioned this at the end of the property committee, just for a little context, I wanted to share a little bit about how the campus uses and spends the money on their energy. I also included water as well. So this is a snapshot of the last 4 years, 21, 22, 23, and 24, of the amount of electricity and natural gas and water that the buildings consume. A little bit of some other information to provide with it. Because there's a central plant, it was not as easy to figure out which buildings were using what energy. There is a water meter in each one of the buildings. There are 2 gas meters total. 3 electric meters total, and then that gets all of the buildings there. A couple of other things to highlight is in the purple there is circled is the term called EUI. It stands for Energy Use Index. There's some benchmarking. These numbers don't mean anything without any context. So just to provide a little context, an average building, for the kind of structure that these facilities are, I would say somewhere in the 60s and 70s. Energy Use Index combines both gas and energy into one British thermal unit. So there's little room for opportunity in terms of that I see. And then the same thing for the expenses side, where we look at the benchmark of dollars per square foot. And I would expect these buildings to maybe be able to be performing somewhere in the 80s or 90s. 90 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents per square foot. So a little bit of opportunity there, nothing too crazy that we don't see, in the industry otherwise. So just a little context for how much the campus is spending on these. It's around 100 and anywhere from, looks like a couple years ago was up into the 190s, but right around, 150, 160,000. Some context for what we're going to talk about in terms of potential savings. So that's just why we're showing this. Just going to jump right into the measures. I'm looking at the first sheet I have called Energy Efficiency and Renewables. And the first measure we have there is called Water Conservation. I'm just going to describe how this spreadsheet reads. Pretty straightforward. From left to right is the name of the recommendation or the facility improvement measure. There's a short description of what the scope of that measure includes. At this point of the audit, our team is looking at developing a budget with a range of costs. We've also identified a estimated energy savings value as well as maintenance savings or avoidance of future capital. We've estimated a utility rebate and tax incentive, and then that all shakes out to a range of return on investment or a simple payback. So that's how this sheet is read. And again, like I mentioned, we broke the projects into these different categories. So I'm going to briefly go through the ones on this energy efficiency and renewables sheet, starting with water conservation. What you're seeing there is just a snapshot of all of the different types of fixtures throughout the facilities. the essence of this measure is to look to reduce flow while not affecting water pressure, if you will. So for lack of a better term, we'd be replacing some of the internal components of the plumbing systems to be using less water, okay? Next one there is called destratification fans. This measure is looking to eliminate the stratified air that's in tall ceilings. We've all remember our thermodynamics science classes from middle school where hot air rises. So most of these types of spaces have a blade style fan that's designed from the original construction of the facility. Problem with the blade style fans is they don't push the air down enough. As technologies advance, fans like this are designed to produce a column of air that can reach all the way to the floor. And what that does is eliminates that layer of stratified air. So instead of having 72 degrees, you know, where the thermostat is, and you might have 82 degrees at the ceiling, what we're gonna do is make sure it's 72 degrees throughout. And where the savings comes in is that all of those systems that are ventilating and serving heating and cooling to those spaces now have to work less because we're pulling down that heat. So that thermostat is essentially calling for less heat, and we can calculate that and figure out what that savings estimate is, okay? The next measures are PV solar installation at Ritzinger and Meggers, the library, and then the gym and physical plant. The reason we chose these facilities was, I think, due to how they're metered, and some of the sizing has to do with the actual physical roof space. At Ritzinger and Meggers, we're looking to cover almost 100% of the usage. Sounds like there's a new roof there. And so the figure on the left is a proposed image of what the solar would look like on that facility. Would be designed as a backfed system, meaning all the power that's being produced by those panels is being fed back to the building. And then the curve you can see there, obviously the yellow part is the sun, and those bars are the monthly electrical usage that you have. So a little bit of overproduction in the summer and not quite getting there in those winter months. Next one. Same thing for this one. I won't necessarily go into these, but it's a similar proposal for the library. Takes about 40% of their current usage offline, and then the gym and physical plant's about 45% of the usage. Again, those sizes were just due to the physical limitations of the roof. Next slide. The next measure or recommendation is an LED lighting replacement. This is just, again, a snapshot of the variety of lighting fixtures that you have throughout the campus. Instead of getting detailed, with each one, I grouped all of the lighting into one measure. The scope is a mixture of retrofits in some places, new fixtures in other places, looking to match a lot of what you've already been doing. Some good savings with this one, sort of what I would say a bread and butter energy efficiency project. Next one. These next measures that we're calling retro commissioning, it's a term in the industry around mechanical and energy systems. What we're really looking to do here is return the HVAC equipment to its original design intent. A lot of times, these systems get tweaked over the years through all sorts of different reasons or functions why that may be. I am grouping a couple of other scope items into this one measure. We're looking to add variable frequency drives. Looks like you've got some there already. If you're not familiar with what that is, looks to make sure a fan motor can vary its level of output, whereas without a device like this, you're either on or off. So we can look to save a lot of energy by being able to ramp that motor up and down. Some of the other scope items in these measures are looking to get rid of any of the remaining pneumatic controls. So some of those, on those photos, those control boxes with the green covers on them, inside there you can see those little dials. Those are indicative of some remaining pneumatic controls that are out there. Okay. This next measure is, that actually concludes this page called Energy Efficiency and Renewables. I do have one other comment to make before I get into this HVAC piece. At at each of the facilities, not only did our engineers notice some retro commissioning opportunities, but a few capital replacements. I didn't want to include them in here as they really affect that return on investment, but these would be capital items that you'd either put on some type of capital improvement list, or they may be there already. A lot of it is ventilation equipment that is past its useful life, and at some point, would need to be replaced, or certain components will start to fail. Okay. What you're looking at here is what I could call an area served map. The next topic I'm going to get into is, and I think sounds like there's been some discussion of this over the years, is the idea of what to do with your physical plant, your central plant. So our engineers ran two scenarios, one being where that central plant would remain, and one being where you would abandon that central plant. So just wanted to put this up as a visual, shows where some of those controls are going. But as you can see, the red line coming from the physical plant going to each of those facilities is an underground line. That would be for the heating loop. And then the same blue would be for the cooling. I think, the main message is that eventually that underground piping, if you would continue to use that, you'd want to replace that. Otherwise, again, you're going to be starting to see some significant failures where then you're going to want to be keeping that type of a system. So before some of those costly repairs would happen, we're recommending just to sort of pick one of those options and start moving in that direction. So aside from going through each one of these measures, it's this idea that you would be in the scenario where you're abandoning it, you're going to be looking to provide individual heating and cooling sources at each one of these facilities. If you're looking to remain there, the recommendation would be to replace one of your two boilers. You've got two older boilers there. If you can go to the next slide, I think that shows that. Yep. So the one on the left there does the majority of the heating for the whole campus. And then as soon as it gets a little bit colder, those other two guys kick on and presumably would stay on until it starts to warm up. So those two bigger ones are not very efficient. So if you were to retain that capital plant, you'd look to replace those with another single condensing boiler, just like the one that you've got. Okay, those are from 1998. Those two larger ones. From a next step standpoint, and we had some great feedback from the property committee. Thank you to those members for that discussion. But at this point, we would look for input from the ownership. You guys, I obviously covered a lot of information today in hopefully a good, timely fashion. So, there'd certainly be discussions that you all would need to have internally. But from an investment grade audit standpoint, we wanted to share these findings with the county.
And just so you know, like Jeff put in his memo, the Rice Lake School District is going to be talking with you separately. Jeff's provided those plans and all the same information to them. So they'll be dealing with you. And I believe they've already indicated they want to do some of the things, especially with the gym and that. And I think Jeff is, then when it comes to the county, it'll be starting with Jeff and then eventually end up in property and then to us. But I think you've applied for a couple grants already, haven't you?
That is correct. We have $49,000 left over from this grant that we'd like to roll into possible improvements. We applied, was it 50 or 125?
125.
125. We applied for a $125,000 grant, which possibly would cover, and I sent this out on the 16th. The committee talked about one of the things that they put forward seemed to be their number one priority would be LED lighting replacements, and that had a high range of $150,700. So a $125,000 grant would cover almost all of that. And if we used the $49,000 left over, the high side for the destratification at the commons is $29,000. So potentially, if you receive both of those grants, we could do some of this work with grant money. That was the discussion at the property committee, and then going from there. Is that correct, Mr. Heller?
And Upper 90 did an excellent job with, they were tasked, what their job was tasked to provide this information to us, and they didn't spend the whole budget, which thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And so I think we just go forward with both the school district and the county. We'll probably try to do some of these items. So does anybody have any questions for Upper 90?
I have a quick question. So when you were talking about solar panels and putting them on the roofs, obviously the newer the roof, the better. What does adding solar panels to roofs affect the longevity of the roof itself?
So my understanding is that there wouldn't be. What some of the the material manufacturers will require a certain specification to make sure that you're not affecting that lifespan. So some of them have a little, for lack of a better term, it would be like a slip cover underneath where you'd put any, there's like a plastic mount. Most of the roofs, as long as they're not pitched, would be mounted without any roof penetrations. And then just to make sure that you're not affecting that material in a negative way, they have a specification that will not void their roof warranties. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yep.
I know it snows up here, and whenever,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're on a roof, you're gonna have to try to maintain it as close to the roof as possible. And it's gonna collect snow. I just don't know what that looks like in terms of energy output or maintenance.
Yeah, those lower months are going to be so low production just from how the sun is that it's like low production anyway. So the snow will affect that, but I think of it as you're already going to be producing a low amount in those months regardless. But yeah, yep.
Supervisor Heller.
The one thing that we did find in utilizing this group was that they were able to strategize some of the things and the way that we're going to proceed. So taking it from top dollar down made it really advantageous to have this group come in, look at all the different facilities, plants, and categorize each one, and then kind of put it in order of what the most effective is going to be in the order of what you'd replace things. So they did a very good job in presenting, in looking into all the information. I thought overall it gives us a great idea, more than what we knew before, and a better idea how we're going to proceed, and helped us with the grant processes too. So it was very good.
I appreciate that feedback. The one piece I left out is when we do these types of investment grade audits, it's for the purposes of doing the work. So we're a contractor by trade. So there are other firms out there that they're a professional services firm. They do studies, they do research, they do things like this. We're in the business of doing the work. So we have, enough bonding capacity as a firm. We've got, professional engineers, project managers, and that type of thing. So as great as this type of investment audit component is, our next step is to work with you as our client and to work through that process, prioritizing those to eventually get to a place where the county has something realistic that they could consider.
Supervisor Guslick.
So when we have the lease with the school district, if we abandon the central plant, are we responsible for putting heating and cooling into those buildings, or is that then their responsibility?
That's a great question. We've looked at it both ways. We've talked to them that if, for example, we were to go with pack boilers at each one of our buildings and they wanted to keep the physical plant, we would let them do that so that they would have then 1 meter for heating and cooling those 2 buildings that they're leasing. Or if they wanted to put in boilers, they were going to pay for those. So we've left that option open, and we, so there's flexibility. We're not tied into anything here because the chilled water lines would probably still stay there. There's no problems with them. It's just the heating ones. So yes, that's a great question. So I guess it's flexibility. We're open to anything, and they are too. And they may actually want to keep part of the physical plant, just because it might be cheaper than them having to put boilers at each one or cooling.
Any further questions? Seeing none, you did a great job. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Bet.
Never had a.
Okay, item number 9, zoning ordinance amendment, rezoning the town of Barron, William H. and Shelley Baltz as owners. A motion by Supervisor Guslick, second by Supervisor Olson to approve that rezoning. Is there any questions on that? If not, let's vote. Waiting on you, Pete. Okay, passed 29 yes, so thank you, everybody. Item number 10, the resolution, expansion of the Staples Lake protection and rehabilitation district. Motion by Supervisor Gooslake, second by Supervisor Cook. Any concerns with that resolution? Seeing none, let's vote. Okay, again, passed 25 yes. Thank you. Item number 11, now this will take a 2/3 vote, which is 20 of our members. And there was, I guess, everybody received a resolution on your desk here. The only change it really did from what was in your packet is it just on, be lines 15, 16, and 17. It's telling you that the law enforcement approved it 7-0 and who the members were, and nobody was against it. So it's basically the same resolution, so. Motion by Supervisor Patty Anderson, second by Supervisor Efforts. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, let's vote. That passed 25-9 yes. Thank you again. Item number 12, the resolution authorizing the release of approximately 2.685 acres of county forest land in the town of Cedar Lake per the Wisconsin State Statute 28. Motion by Supervisor Efforts, second by Supervisor Mullen. Anybody have any questions on this? Again, seeing none, let's vote. Again, 29 yes, thank you. Item number 13, resolution approving the hazardous materials response agreement between the city of Rice Lake and Barron County for the years 2025 through 2035. Motion by Supervisor Schneider, second by Supervisor Thompson. Any questions or concerns?
I got a quick question. So
Okay.
Rice Lake took out their recycling of hazard waste, oil and that kind of thing. And are we picking that up? I mean, where's it now going?
We have a spot right across from the highway shop. We have a building and it's ours. Yeah, so we've had that for a long time,
3 years.
5 years maybe?
5.
It's been before the facility.
Before this facility was built, we've had that oil depot there.
And because I see they had pulled theirs out
Yep,
last
they
year.
did, yep. Mhm.
Supervisor Goosslick.
So if there is a hazardous call where the team has to go out and it's on private property or a business, the response costs are paid for by that location, or that's part of the county's responsibility?
Well, I'm gonna look at Jason, but it depends. I know we've picked up hand grenades from people, dynamite, and we've tried to get them to pay and they've balked. So my answer is gonna be we try, but we often don't get it. Yes, you may. Bob, there you go. Bob would be an expert.
Oh, God, no.
Well, you did it for a lot of years.
No, yeah, but not an expert.
Do you remember what happened with one of the turkey store? With the leak that they had in the last 3 or 4 years?
The turkey store had an ammonia leak and we recouped nothing.
Okay. I know a lot of it's reimbursed by the federal government, and that's goes back into Mike Judy's budget, but
Well, doesn't typically those businesses have insurance? Shouldn't they be required?
Yes.
mean-
But to get them to pay, one thing, they have it, but to get them to pay is another. And some of it, if it reaches a certain point, is a hazard and we bill the federal government and they go after them.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
Bob?
There's usually whoever generated the contamination is who's on the hook. If it goes to where it's something that's really large and turns into a hazardous waste site that has to be mitigated later on, there's a certain dollar figure that's negotiated every year with the hazmat teams as far as how much for a truck per person, foam, booms, everything. And that's how it's billed out. and that's approved by the state. The generator of the hazardous materials can also come to the county or the fire department, that then usually in turn turns it around and goes back to the state or the feds to try and get that recouped. Doesn't say that it's going to, but that's typically how that matrix works.
Any other questions? Not, let's vote. Passed 29 yes. Thanks again. Item number 14, the resolution authorizing participation in the Sandoz subdivision opioid settlement. Motion by Supervisor Hanson, second by Supervisor Rogers. Again, any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. That passed 29 yes. Thanks again. Item number 15, the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA expenditures. I believe that was on page 49 of 57. Does anybody have any, there's no motion. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Item number 16, a report from our county administrator.
Sure. In your packet is the management discussion and analysis that's going to be included in the 2024 financial statements that will be filed on July 31st. So this is just information only. If you have any questions, give me a call. Thank you.
Jody, who generates that? You or the CPAs or both together?
This portion is what I generate. There will be additional information that will be part of the financial statements.
You did a good job on that too.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to see, I like to share the stuff from Forward Analytics. It's quite interesting. I just don't have any comment on that. And then my appointments, I'd ask you please to appoint the reappointments as they stand as one action item, if you would, please.
Okay,
That's
you're
all I
talking,
have.
you're talking about the zoning board of adjustment, the union contract negotiation
Correct.
committee, and then the acting interim highway commissioner being Nate.
Correct, please.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Moen, seconded by Supervisor Olson.
Next month.
Is there any questions or concerns or wanting to, hopefully you don't want to separate them? Okay, seeing none, then let's vote. $29 yes, thanks again. Item number 18, claims, petitions, and correspondence. We don't have any. 19, suggestions for future agenda items, and Jeff had several of them in his update memo. Does anybody have any additional ones? I suppose we'll have to discuss Bun's resignation and how we handle the second vice chair. As you know, Stacy Wenzel was the second vote getter. You know, maybe you wanted to go with that route. Our rules and procedures say we're supposed to vote, but we'll get that figured out between by next month, and we'll give you some options.
Mr. Chairman, there's one more thing I will be asking the board to approve. It looks like the opioid manufacturers, not the distributors or the retailers, have reached an agreement. So I have a document that I'll present to the executive committee for their approval by resolution to have you allow the same thing for us to participate. Then and I appreciate you approving the Sandoz. Wasn't a lot of information because I can't share it because we don't know exactly where they're going to get paid. And remember, in both the Sandoz and with the manufacturers, the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin weighs in on really what we're going to get and how much we're going to get. So I'm just giving you prime that we'll probably be back in August to have you approve the settlement with the manufacturers, because we have to have the participations in, some by September 24th, some by October 31st, so that the states get their money so we can get ours in 2026 and over the next 19 years. So I guess the federal government's doing their job to push them to settle, so.
And our next meeting will be August 18th.
At 5, right here.
At 5 p.m. right here. And seeing nothing else, by unanimous consent, we'll adjourn at 5:41. Thanks, everybody.